So it's nearly 5 years now since the beginning of the People's Pantomime. And over the weekend, I was sort of thinking about how I've changed over the last 5 years. Is good more common than evil? I used to be a teacher, teaching sixth formers in the main, and I remember being asked this question by one of my students, and this was right at the beginning of 2020, so just before the People's Pantomime started. Now, at the time, I said to this school that, yeah, I think that most people are good. And would I be right in saying that this is what we're supposed to think? 5 years on, I no longer believe that. And what I'm going to talk about today is what I've learned, how I've changed over these last 5 years, how my perceptions have been altered by my experiences. So the first thing that's changed is back in 2020, I used to think that I was surrounded by intelligent people, and many of those intelligent people had some great, I thought, very, very sound morally. That if they were facing a situation, I don't know, the classic one of if they were in National Socialist Germany in the 1930s, would they have gone along with it? And, I believe that I knew quite a lot of people who would have opposed it, who would have basically sacrificed their status, their position in society, their material possessions for what was morally right. So I believe that there were an awful lot of people who were very, very intelligent, far more intelligent than me, and then also people who were better than me morally. So I think it's fairly safe to say that I got that one wrong. And also I would say that if we just look at people's behaviour, I would say that most people are not good people. If we just think about people, the thing that gets me more than anything else is the people who had kids, who allowed their kids to take part in a medical experiment so that they could fit in with their friends, they could go on foreign holidays. It's just for a problem that it was well known was not going to affect young people. But so that will always that was a very sharp learning curve for me. I never imagined that people, not in my wildest dreams, that people could do that to their own children. Another thing that's changed over the last 5 years is that I'm far less gullible than I was. Back in 2020, I assumed that most people were fairly decent people, and I could trust them. Unfortunately, where I am now, particularly in England in 2025, is most people, you just can't trust them at all. Just cannot trust them at all. Most institutions in the UK have been completely corrupted, and people will do anything to keep their jobs and their incomes flowing through and to enhance their social status. So in the past, when I thought about NHS doctors in England, or policemen or policewomen or whatever, my kind of default was, well, there's probably an odd one that's like dodgy, but there's probably some good uns. Nowadays, I just think that every single last one of them is bent, corrupt, untrustworthy. The whole of society is rotten. I didn't believe that in 2020. I do in 2025. Another thing that I would say that's happened to me, change, is I was never particularly materialistic or interested in ego, but I now realise that all of that is just complete nonsense, and it's something that fools fall for. The other thing that I've recognised is that we're here to go through tests, trials and tribulations, and we're supposed to make the right choices, and we're supposed to endure. That's why we're here. We're not here to try to fight like rats in a sack, you know, and play social one-upmanship games and all of that. And I would say over the last 5 years, I have changed in that my attitudes to all of that nonsense have got even more extreme. So I'm even less materialistic than I was. You know, in 2020, I drove, what was it? I don't know, 20-year-old car. Now it's 25 years old. I'm just not interested in it at all. I suppose something else as well that's connected is back in 2020, I didn't understand or appreciate the magnitude of evil that existed, particularly at senior echelons in society. So all of this stuff about, you know, politicians being bribed and, you know, all the dodgy sexual deviant stuff and like the really, really horrible, disgusting stuff. If somebody had told me about that in 2020, I probably wouldn't want to have believed them. Now I have no trouble at all in believing that that stuff does go on. One thing that's not changed is that I believed in God in 2020. I still do now. If it's possible, even more so. We are in a battle between good and evil. That's absolutely obvious. We are here to be tested, and that's what's gone on. And yeah, like the wheat's being separated from the chaff. That's basically what's going on here, and the stakes couldn't be higher. Oh yeah, I guess another thing that I have learned over the last 5 years is just how powerful a force the human ego can be. So there are people that I know who are incapable of ever publicly stating that they were wrong, because their ego just can't allow them to do that. And that is something that I definitely have learned, is that there's many people who have huge egos who will double down on errors because their ego is just so massive that they can't publicly admit that they made an error. I guess something else that I've learned that I kind of always suspected, so maybe I could call this that this has been confirmed really over the last 5 years, is there's a load of people that don't think about life at all. They're just moving swiftly from one shopping experience or moving from one Instagram boasting post to the next. And yeah, these people, they don't think deeply at all about life. They just preoccupy themselves in material possessions, ego, status. And yeah, these people are lost. Yeah, so I think that's all that I've got really. How you can tell me in the comments about how you've changed over the last 5 years. You know, including your mindset, your perception of who you are and who other people are. So that's all I want to say today. So God bless.